أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amen. Shukran, Imam C. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Lord God of mercy and of grace, the sustainer and protector of all that you have created throughout the whole universe, we continue to thank you for this nation, the Gambia, and we give ourselves unreservedly under your direction, your protection, and your divine providence. We continue to ask as we meet in this TRRC sitting that your Holy Spirit will be with us, be with the witnesses, wherever they may be, and grant them the boldness to be able to speak the truth, and also grant the commission to be able to decipher between what is true and what is false. We also continue to pray that you will grant the populace and all those that are in the diaspora, grant them the patience to be able to wait patiently and allow the due process of the law to take its course. And at the end of it, Lord, you yourself will grant satisfaction to all and sundry. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop. Council, are we ready to proceed with this morning's witness? If so, please, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and members of the audience. Our witness today is testifying from outside the country in the United Kingdom, to be led by Hadi Dande Jabi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, commissioners, the audience, and we are ready to proceed. I think for once today I don't need the usher's help, so if we may have the OB van. Good morning, Mr. Witness.
Morning.
Can you hear me properly, and are you comfortable?
Yeah, I can hear you clear and loud and clear, yeah.
Thank you very much for your willingness to testify on the TRRC.
You're welcome.
And my duty today will be to take you through your testimony before the commissioners.
Yep.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay. And you have opted to speak in the English language today.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can you tell us your names?
You're welcome. Ebrahima Yarbo.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbo. Mr. Yarbo, for today, I shall be taking you through some issues before this commission.
Yep.
And the issues will entail your educational background, it will also entail your work history, your encounter with the National Intelligence Agency, commonly known as the NIA, the intervention by the police to help with your arrest and detention at the NIA headquarters, the conditions under which you were detained, your consequent charge and trial,
Yeah.
then the said detention, that how long the detention was for, also the effect that the said detention had on yourself and your family. After that, at that point, I will hand you back over to the chair and the commissioners for any questions they may have to ask you. And then you will be given an opportunity at that point as well to make any comments you may have before this commission.
Okay then.
Mr. Yarbo, are we clear and you understand?
I am indeed, and it's clear.
Thank you.
Very clear, yeah.
Okay, so at this point, we will now get you to swear and take the oath before we can continue.
That's fine.
And since you're not near any Quran, we would advise that you affirm.
Yeah.
Can you repeat after me?
Yeah.
I, Ebrahima Yarbo,
I, Ebrahima Yarbo,
hereby affirm that
hereby affirm that
I shall speak the truth,
I shall speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth
and nothing but the truth
before this commission.
before this commission.
Thank you. Mr. Yarbo, at this point, can you give us your educational background?
I started education when I was, in fact, I was given to somebody, my father's brother in Senegal, where I started Quranic studies and then some French studies. Then when I left Senegal, I was given to my sister who was married to Alaji Turo Dabo in Salikenya. And then I completed my primary school in Salikenya, starting with primary 4. And then I passed the common entrance in 1972 and went to Armitage High School. Then from 1972 to 1977, I did my higher education and finished in 1977.
Then after that point, can you tell us what else you did?
I applied for a job from to many institutions, and I was all the time successful. In fact, I was thinking of doing veterinary medicine. So I used to travel from Banjul to Abuko, but after some time, I was not able to get fare to go to Abuko. And when the opportunity came in telecoms, I applied and also was accepted. In fact, I can remember when people like Per Singul, Pasise, and all the others, they came to Bakari and said, look, we want this man back to Abuko because we want him there. Bakari said, no, I also want him here. So I decided to stay with telecoms because I was not going to pay any fare to go to work. So in telecoms, we are taken to the AFDI training center. It used to be called VTC, Banjul Training, I don't know, Banjul Technical Training Center. And then we did some city and girls up to level 3, which I passed. Then I was confirmed as a technician. Now, I was attached to the telex section of telecoms department.
Mr. Yarbo, sorry, can you give us the year when you were appointed as a technician?
That should be around 79. I think 79, 80, thereabouts, yeah.
You may continue.
And then after being in the telex for some time, I was sent to the UK to do some industrial training. And I went to the Cable and Wireless College in Penzance. After some months, then I also went to Cambridge. There was a factory called PI. They manufacture microwave systems. I did also some training there. The whole training lasted about 6 months. Then I came back maybe around 80. And then in 1981, shortly after the abortive coup, I was sent back to the UK to do proper academic training. That was in 1982, I think. I came back to the UK, then went to Manchester College, did some more telecoms study. And then after 1 year, I was taken to Essex Institute of Higher Education, where I did an HND and finished in 1986. When I came back, I was appointed as a training engineer. And then I was transferred to the microwave section. After some time, I was sent to the provinces as regional engineer. That's in Bansang. I was based in Bansang.
Mr. Yarbo, when you say the microwave department, what do you mean by that? Can you give us a brief description?
Yeah, microwave is a system of transmission by radio, where the communication link is all radio waves. And that was the one that was connecting Banjul to the provinces.
Thank you. So then afterwards you were posted to Basse.
Yeah. Now the posting in Basse, I was the first regional engineer in telecoms. Because by the time I came back, it was already Gamtel. So I was the first regional engineer to be posted in the provinces, and I was based in Bansang. But I was responsible for the link from Basse right down to Mansa Konko. When I was there for a year or two, then I went back to Banjul. When I went back to Banjul, I was promoted to senior engineer. All there, and then in 1991, I was given the opportunity to go back to studies. Came back to Essex, and then I did a postgraduate diploma and a master's degree in telecommunication systems management. Now, in 1993, I came back, and I was posted straight to Basse as the regional manager. And I was the first regional manager before anybody else. Now, in Basse, I introduced telecommunication services to all the big villages there, Gambisara, Numuyel, up to Koina. And I spent 2 years to do that. And then I finished my tour of duty in 1996.
So, Mr. Yarbo, it is correct to say that... Mr. Yarbo, it is therefore correct to say that you were one of the first engineers in the Gambia to actually help build the telecommunications sector.
Oh yes, I used to sleep in villages like Jalokoto, Nyoro Jataba to charge batteries, and even Makagui. I'm sure you don't know some of those villages. So we are one of the first people to definitely contribute to the development of telecommunication in the Gambia.
Thank you. So after having helped to set up, especially in the rural areas, you were brought back to Banjul Gamtel headquarters.
Yeah, and I was promoted to senior manager. I think that should be 1996, 1997.
In your statement, it refers in 1997. You were brought back to Gamtel.
1997, yes. In fact, I think I gave you my appointment letter. I'm not sure whether you got it or...
Yes, you may continue.
Then I was in Banjul, responsible for the transmission systems. I had some managers under me, as well as senior engineers and engineers. Then in 2000, There was a student demonstration. And I remember very well, I was standing in front of the Gamtel house, trying to convince the student not to do anything with Gamtel, because it's an asset for the nation. But then I was also very close to some students as well. They used to come to me and then I'd give them lunch and help them. But then after the demonstration, sometime in 2000, I think, yeah, one Mansour Bakol told me that you are wanted. In fact, I was called by the NIA, and they said they wanted to see me.
Sorry, Mr.
I said, for
Yarbo,
what?
do you remember the month in which you were called in 2000 by the NIA?
Oh. Not very far from the rainy season, but then it was before the rainy season. So it should be maybe around April, May, June or thereabouts.
Do you remember the actual officer at the NIA that called you on that particular day?
No, I don't know the particular officer, but when I went there, I found all the security operatives there. FRI Jame was there, the police. Sambaba was there. Dabo Marina. And I think Muniru Dabo. And then Ablai Kujabi.
Okay. Do you remember sorry, Mr. Yarbo, at this point you will have to just give me some time and I will ask you a few questions so that you can go through your statement.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay. Do you remember at what time you were called to report to the NIA?
I think it was on a Friday. When I finished work, I drove there. I drove to the GPMB headquarters.
Was it before Friday prayers or after Friday prayers, or was it at night time?
No, it was during the day. I think it was shortly after Friday prayers.
Thank you. Then you've mentioned a few officers that you met at the NIA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know their positions that they held at the NIA at that time?
Well, it's not only the intelligence outfit that were there, you are also the police, because FRI Jame, I think, was the head of the police at the time. And we also had other people like, I think most of them, apart from FRI Jame, all the others were members of the NIA.
And do you know the positions that they held?
Well, I know that Sambaba was the head of the NIA then. And the Kujabi was maybe a deputy or something like that. And so was Daba Marina and Munir Dabo.
Thank you very much. So when you reported to the NIA, can you tell us what happened next?
Well, they greeted me, said, Mr. Yarbo, welcome. I said, thank you. They told me that they wanted to switch off Citizen FM. I think this was belonging to Babu Karge. I think if I late Babu Karge. And they said they wanted to go with me to switch it off. I told them, look, that's not part of my job description. Because to go and switch off a station, especially an FM station, is so easy. So I told them, look, I cannot do that. They said, okay, no problem. If you cannot do it, that's fine.
Mr. Yarbo, when they called you on the phone and said you needed to report to NIA, did they tell you the reason why at that point?
No. I was a bit scared because if I was called by the NIA at that time, there's no good news.
So the only reason why they called you, as you found out when you got to the NIA, was to assist them to turn off a private FM radio
station, yeah.
Did they give you the reasons why they wanted to turn it off?
Well, I think I was a bit honest with them straight away, so I didn't even bother to try to explain. But what they said was because they don't want to spoil anything there. But my instinct told me that, look, these people they have engineering sections. In the police, there is a communication sector. At the NIA also, there is a communication sector. And those are all technicians. They could have used them to do that for them. Why did they pick on me?
I was actually going to ask you that question as to why do you think they chose you to turn off the radio station?
I don't know. Maybe it was a way to get access to you see, let me just say this. When something new, a new element is introduced into the life of society, there is a typology of response to that thing. Now, if you put it on a spectrum, 3 positions become prominent. There are those who support the new element and are prepared to die for it. There are others at the other end of the spectrum who will hate the new phenomenon, that they can also die for it. Now, I always take the middle ground because I want to make sense of it. Now, that middle ground is never positively perceived by the other 2 extremes. Maybe perhaps, and I didn't hide my position as such when the coup happened. So maybe perhaps that's why they thought maybe I was not part of them.
Did they tell you where they got the instructions to shut down the radio station?
No, they didn't tell me that.
You were not one of the supporters of the coup. That is correct.
Well, I don't think a coup is something to be supported because it's a sort of a crime in the sense that it doesn't go with the Constitution.
And you made your position clear to them?
Yeah, well, I think I did, yeah.
So can you continue to tell us what happened when you refused to go with them to turn off the radio station?
After a month or 2, I think when I refused, they must have gone to the then president, Yaya, and told him that, look, this guy is not in support of the cause, the revolution, so-called revolution. So after some time, there were some people visiting me, like one Francisco Caso came to my office one time and said he wanted some radio frequency for communication purposes. I told him, look, Francisco, what we do here is just to manage the frequency on behalf of the Ministry of Communication, Information and Communication. But we don't give it out like that. You need to go and apply to the ministry. Then the ministry will pass it back to Gamtel and we'll be able to process your application.
Mr. Yarbo?
In fact, he never did.
Okay. Continue on that point.
He never did apply. And when I was arrested, he was one of those who came to my home to arrest me.
Just to take you back a bit on the radio FM, Citizen FM. Did you know the owner?
Well, yes, I think I know Babukar because I think he used to live in Lancaster. One of my uncle, Ibugay, married into that family.
Is it correct to say that his name was Babukar Gay?
Yeah, Babukar Gay, yeah.
Did you have a close connection with him?
No, with the, I'm not sure whether they are sisters, but like Fatou Gay. Fatou Gay was my senior at Armitage. And I also used to work with Ramu Gay at Gamtel House. And Eliman was my senior brother and my boss, Eliman Chab.
We received evidence that Citizen FM at that time was one of the main critics of the then government. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
And
Of
was
course, I
that
was aware
true?
of that, yeah. Well, not, I think passing information to awaken the conscience of people is not opposition as such. For me, that's not opposition. Although that's the way it will be perceived by people who are not comfortable with the dissemination of information.
Thank you. So when you refused to go with them to shut it down, can you continue to tell us what happened?
They went, and then I went back to Gamkal House. And as I said, I never heard anything from them until the day I was arrested at 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. in the morning.
Can you tell us about the arrest?
What they did was they came to my premise, and they knocked at my door and told me, Mr. Yarbo, can you please open your door? I said, look, I'm not mad. You calling me by my name, asking me to call my door at 3 a.m. I'm not going to open the door.
At this
Then,
point, did
after
they
some
tell
time,
you, sorry, Mr. Yarbo, at this point, did they give you their names?
No.
How many of them were knocking at the door?
Well, I think there was a group down, and one or two came up. In fact, they used a rope to get up to the floor I was on.
Okay, continue to tell us what happened.
So then they, with a very earnest voice, they asked me, in your best interest, open the door. That was when I called the police and told them that I have some people calling me by my name, asking me to open my door at this time. The police told me that they had no vehicle. I told them, I'm not very far from you. I'm just in Fitzgerald Street.
So at this point, did the
two young police officers came.
Thank you. Continue.
When they came, they said, yes, you called us? I said, yes. I said, some people came here telling me to open my door. And then after the police arrived, they came back with a van full of guns, AK-47s and all whatnot. And the police told them, look, we are all doing the same job. So what we'll do is we'll take him to the station, book him in, and then you sign that you received him. I think that was a very, very wise way of saving my life, because otherwise they could have taken me and then execute me without any evidence.
Mr. Yarbo, at this point, do you know why you were being taken by the NIA?
I wasn't told. Nobody told me.
They didn't give you any reason why they knocked at your door at 3 a.m. in the morning?
No.
Continue.
So when they came back to the police, they signed the book, and the police handed me over to them. And I recognized one Francesco, and also one Modu Bojang.
So at this point,
They took me to the NI.
At this point, Mr. Yarbo,
Okay.
you got a knock at your door at 3 a.m. in the morning by NIA officers. There was a truck downstairs waiting with officers who had guns.
Yeah.
And then the police kind of came to your rescue and took you to the police headquarters to book you.
First, yeah.
And then you were handed back to the NIA.
Exactly.
And you were taken to NIA headquarters.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the time you reached NIA headquarters?
That should be maybe around 4 a.m.
And you've also mentioned that there was a Francisco involved in your arrest and been taken to the NIA?
He was, yes.
Can you tell us whether this Francisco was Gambian?
He's an Italian, he's not a Gambian.
And do you know what his role was?
Well, in fact, it was a bolt out of the blue to see Francisco being part of the NIA, because all I know that he had a restaurant called Port Bello in Bakau.
When he actually got to be with you, did he show you any warrant card or any authority that he had that he was an NIA?
No.
But in any event, he still drove you to the NIA headquarters?
Yeah, all of them. In fact, they were in a group, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbo. So now can you continue to tell us what happened when you got to the NIA headquarters at 4 a.m.?
When I got to the NIA headquarters, there is a small room at the gate, at the door, the main door. So I was put in that room with one guy, one man I didn't know. We were there for 2 days.
Sorry, when you
I told
say
him, "Who are you?"
one guy, sorry, Mr. Yarbo, was he also an officer or was he also a detainee?
He was also a detainee.
You may continue.
And then I asked him, why are you here? He said, look, me, I'm Alaji Kante's driver. Then I said, why are you here then? He said, Alaji Kante, they accused Alaji Kante of trying to stage a coup. And that's why I'm here.
Mr. Yarbo,
I said to myself, well, go on.
Can you tell us who this Alaji Kante is?
Alaji Kante was part of the group of people who were officers in the coup. He was one time the spokesperson, I think. And then later became a commissioner, or I don't know, they call them governors or whatever. And he was in Kerewan at that time.
Thank you. So can you continue as to, from where the driver said to you that he was the driver of Alaji Kante?
When he said, I'm here because Alaji Kante was involved in a coup, I was happy because I said to myself, well, I don't know, fortunately, I don't know Alaji Kante. I know his big brother, who was my senior at Armitage, Karamo. And then I felt a bit relaxed because I know that maybe they will eventually release me. But on the whole, the reason why I was kept at the gate was because the cell in Bambadinka was full. So after 2-3 days, I was taken to Bambadinka myself.
Sorry, Mr. Yarbo, just to get that point clear. So when you were detained, this was on the Friday, early hours.
Yeah.
You were made to stay at the so-called reception area.
Yeah.
At the NIA headquarters.
Yeah.
Was there an officer in charge of that particular area of the NIA?
Well, I don't think so. I don't. There was one guy called something Mendy. He was around there.
And then
But
you were kept
I
in that.
didn't see anybody specifically being responsible for that area. Yeah.
Thank you. So when you got to the NIA at 4 a.m. in the morning, were you stripped of any of your belongings?
No, I had no belongings except my clothes. They took my mobile phone, of course. You know, by then the mobile phones in the Gambia are these big ones, but because I was working for Gamtel,
It was
I
then the
needed
analog
that. But when
system.
there is a problem, with the system, they can call me so that I can call my engineers and technicians and organize them so that they can intervene.
So then you were kept
But they
for
took
3
that phone
days.
from me. Yeah, I was kept for 3 days at the main door.
Which is the so-called
And
reception
then I was
area.
Exactly. And then I was moved to the Bambadinka. Now that place was hell because we had to sleep on the floor. And once they finish work and you are left there, you cannot go to the toilet. You cannot ease yourself. You have to wait until in the morning when they come back to work. It was terrible.
So, Mr. Yarbo, you're telling us that in those 3 days that you were kept in that so-called reception area, once the officers are off work, you're no longer allowed or given permission to use the toilet.
No?
Were you given any
Because this is
food?
why it's called Bambadinka. Not that it's a hole down on the ground, but it's far away from people. The gate man will be at the gate at night, and even if you shout, he will never hear you.
So, Mr. Yarbo, this is now the point where you have been moved from the reception area to a cell.
Yeah, a proper cell.
Can you tell us the conditions of the cell that you were put in?
Very bad. Because you have to, as I said, you have to sleep on the floor. Can you imagine, even on a soft bed, when you keep on lying on the same position for some while, you're bound to feel some pain in your body. And this is how we are for 21 days. No washing, no bath, nothing. And they used to bring us rotten food. I remember on one occasion, they brought a sandwich, and when I opened it, I saw drawing pins inside. No, stapling pins inside. Since then, I advise my colleagues not to eat the food or let them eat it with caution.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbo. So the condition of the cell was inhumane. The food was
Very
terrible
inhumane.
and in a condition that could not be eaten.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in your statement, you also mentioned, and you just did, some colleagues, that you were with some colleagues. Can you give us the name of the said colleagues that you were with?
Yeah, Barrow was there, one Mr. Ebrahima Barrow. He was a very close friend of Francesco. He was there with me. By then, Omar Dabo and Lieutenant Omar Dabo and Lieutenant Jalo Jeita were moved to prison. Maybe that's why they kept us at the reception area at the beginning, because they always like to separate people who have the same case.
Mr. Yarbo, how many of you were arrested in this particular instance concerning the issue?
Yeah, we had Alaji Kante escaped. He went to Dakar. Soldau also was mentioned, but I don't know Soldau. I know one Ablai Sanyang also. He was a military guy, and later on they wanted to use him against us, and he escaped. Then you have Lieutenant Lalo Jaite, and Lieutenant Omar Dabo, and myself, Mamadou Marina, Ebrahima Barrow, and Mamadou Dumo Saho.
So were you all at the NIA at the same time?
Well, when I was there, Dumo came and found me there, and he was at the reception with me. But later on, we are all transferred to the Bambadinka cell.
In your statement, you have mentioned that you were not at any point tortured.
Well, when I said not torture, I mean physical torture.
Can you explain to the Commission?
There was no physical, no beating or anything like that, because I warned them against that. I'm going to tell you whatever you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth. But I don't want you to raise your hands on me. Some of them were wise enough to hack into what I said. Because there was a guy there who was their senior, Sukuta Jame. The morning he'll come, take me out of the cell and bring me breakfast. Well, I don't know whether the gesture was to extract information out of me, but I was very grateful.
Did you suffer any other form of torture?
Well, mental torture, yes, especially in Mile 2 prisons. Within the NIA, it was the same thing, the same routine torture. That means, you see, the first day of imprisonment is very trying, especially if to the horror of captivity is added the horror of solitude. If you are not man enough, you might lose your head or your honor because you are totally stripped of dignity, human dignity, I mean. And then some people cannot withstand that. But fortunately, we are able to do so, both at the NIA and also in Mile 2 central prisons.
So, Mr. Yarbo, you've told us that you were not physically tortured, but psychologically and mentally you were tortured.
Yes, very serious torture.
Because of the treatment that
Can
you
you imagine
received?
you arrest somebody who was a senior staff of a company, you put him in a very confined space, subhuman conditions, without explaining to him why. We've been under this for 21 days. So that's the worst type of torture. Because you are not sure what your fate is going to be. That anxiety can even kill you. And it was a time when there was a brutal regime in the Gambia. So that also added to your trauma.
So, Mr. Yarbo, just to also ask, do you know if any of the other people that were arrested with you were tortured physically?
Well, Barrow, I think for some reason was tortured, not in my presence, because we are arrested at different times. But I think he was the first to be arrested before anybody else.
Did you see any signs of him that showed that he was tortured?
Well, I think he lost his tooth. So
were any of the others tortured at any point?
Well, physical torture, I don't think so. Because I mean, when you tell them, look, I'm going to tell you what you want to know. Maybe that appeals to their sense of reasoning, and then they wouldn't use brutal force on you.
So, in these 21 days that you spent at the NIA, did your family have access to you?
No.
Did you have access to legal representation?
No.
So you were detained incommunicado?
Incommunicado, exactly.
So can you continue to tell us what happened after the 21 days of your detention at the NIA?
Yeah, on the 22nd day, we are taken to the Kanifing Magistrate Court. And the magistrate was Hadi Roche. Is it Hadi Roche or Cecilia? Or I know the family. Cecilia or either Hadi Roche or something.
It's Justice Roche.
Justice Roche, exactly. She remanded us in custody to Mile 2 prisons because she said the case was above her jurisdiction. Yeah.
So, according to your statement, sorry, Mr. Yarbo, according to your statement, at this point, you were taken to Kanifing Magistrate Court. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you were brought before Justice Roche.
Yeah.
And you're just telling us that she indicated that she didn't have jurisdiction to actually hear such a matter. At this point, do you know what you were being charged for?
No.
You were not given any charge sheet.
We are not given any charge sheet. In fact, the charge sheet found us in mile 2.
And you still had no legal representation?
No.
So if you may tell the Commission, when Justice Rush indicated that she didn't have jurisdiction to hear the matter, what happened next?
Then we are remanded in custody at the mile 2 central prisons, maximum security wing, and I was in cell number 4. In fact, cell block number 4. It's a block with so many small cells. And I remember very well, my cell was opposite the main gate, the main door. It was next to the cell chair Sinseka was. And
Mr. Yarbo, just
very
take
narrow,
your time.
very small cell, with no matla, only a block of cement, one bucket, small bucket, chamber pot, they call it, and no net, no mosquito net, yeah. That's it. You have to stay like that for some time before they can bring you a matla, a blanket, very dirty blanket, and also a net.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbo, for describing the cell and the inhumane condition that it was in. How can you tell us how the food was like?
Well, sometimes you eat the food and then you come across cockroach legs and things like that, but then what do you do? Because we are not allowed food during the first months, and then you need to survive. So luckily, we are able to survive it. We didn't die there. And, we thank God for that.
Mr. Yarbo, at this point, did you have access to your family?
No, I was put in communicado for 3 months.
So you were not allowed food from the outside even though you were on remand?
We are not allowed food after 3 months.
You were not allowed any toiletries or any necessities from the outside even though you were on remand?
Nothing, because even our families didn't know that whether we are dead or whether we are alive. Because from the NIA, you were taken to a court, the court remanded you, and there was nobody to communicate that to your family.
So
The only thing what happened after 3 months was the Red Cross started coming in, and they were inquiring about us. Unfortunately, they met me and then told me to write a short letter to my family to show them that I'm alive. That's what happened.
So after the Red Cross was able to assist you to write to your family, they then had access to them and you had access to see them.
Exactly, they started coming in and bringing in provisions like bread, sardines, corned beef and stuff like that. But they were not allowed to bring in cooked food.
And these provisions were given to you when brought by your family?
Yeah.
So then,
because as I said,
go ahead.
Go on. You know, when you are in an environment where there is you have lost your liberty, you need to behave yourself properly and understand that maybe you'll be able to fight when you go out. Now, I had some prison officers who were very helpful when I was there. And sometimes the provisions were passed through them and they will bring it to me.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbo. And then you were there for 3 months. You were now able to access your family, and they had access to you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
After that, they brought in the charge sheet that we are charged with treason, but we have to go to court. High court.
So you were actually served with the charge sheet in Mile 2 prisons.
Yeah, the charge sheet came to Mile 2.
So then
indicate when the court will start.
At this point, did they now allow you to have access to a lawyer?
Remember, my lawyer was Usman Silla, but then they formed a team. There was Usman Silla, Usainu Dabo, Batambedo, and Mai Fati. Now, when the case started, shortly after Ba left for international appointment, but the others remained. Usman Silla was there, Lawyer Dabo was there, Mai Fati was there, and those were the 3 lawyers we had.
Were these lawyers representing all of the accused persons or just yourself?
No, all of the accused persons. We all had our lawyer. My lawyer was Usman Silla. Now, Usainu Dabo decided to volunteer for Marena, Modu Marena. And I think Mai Fati was for Baro, something, or Dumo, I don't know. But I think Dumo's lawyer was initially Batambedu. And then when he left, I think these people, they coordinated themselves to form a group to fight against the government for us.
Do you remember who your judge was?
Yeah, our initial judge was Pa Grant, Justice Grant. And when they studied that the case was a foolish case in the eyes of Mr. Grant, they took the case from him and gave it to Mr. Belgore, Ahmed Belgore. Then Usman Silla told me, and don't worry about this. He's a very, very straightforward and just judge. But this one is even more straightforward than Mr. Pa Grant.
Mr. Yarbo,
because he was a Nigerian, we are scared.
I was going to ask you, did you know his nationality? Yes, Mr. Belgore, Justice
he
Belgore
was a Nigerian.
Thank you. You may continue.
And then been going to court for 4 years. We have been in detention for 4 years, 4 months. And then one fine day we went to court, we are acquitted and discharged. Now, my agreement with Gamtel was that if I'm acquitted and discharged, I should go back to work. I wanted to do that. I wrote to the managing director then. But then there was a letter from the office of the DPP saying that I cannot be reinstated because they've appealed against the vision of the judge. But I told my lawyer, Kumba Silla, who was taking brief for his dad, decided to write back saying that that's not the position of the law. The man is acquitted and discharged. Therefore, he is a free citizen now and should be able to go back to work. But the DPP wrote saying that I cannot be reinstated until the appeal is heard.
Mr. Yarbo, can you tell us who the then DPP was?
The then DPP was one Nigerian called Chief Akomayo Ajim or something like that.
So he had
But his surname is Ajim anyway.
Yes, it was Justice Akim. So he was then indicating
Akim,
that.
is it?
Yes, you are correct. The name is correct. So he was indicating that even though you were acquitted and discharged, you could not be reinstated as the government was going to
Exactly.
appeal.
Yeah.
Can you
I
tell
told
us?
them that's not the right thing to do. What you need to do is do the appeal. When you win your case, if you want to take me back to mile 2, that's fine. I said, no, I cannot go back to work. I waited for 6 months. Then I got a call from an anonymous caller who advised me to leave the country and go back to the UK. It was very scary though. So I therefore decided to do as he advised. Bought a ticket, Brussels to Manchester. That's where I am still now.
So, Mr. Yarbo, this started when you were arrested on a Friday by the NIA,
Yeah.
where you spent 21 days and was later transferred to Mile 2 Central Prisons on remand.
For 4 years, 4 months, sorry.
Yes, where you were taken to trial and it lasted for 4 years and 4 months, and you were acquitted and discharged.
Yeah.
And the government refused to reinstate you into your position at Gamtel.
Exactly, and I was not given a dismissal letter. I was given no termination letter, and I was given no early retirement letter.
And this
So
fact,
it's hanging like that until today.
and this fact forced you to leave the jurisdiction and go into exile in Manchester, in the United Kingdom.
For 12 years.
Mr. Yarbo, can you tell us the effect that this had on you and your family?
Very bad effect. Number one, my kids, when I was leaving, my kids were very young. They were in primary school. And then when I came here, it was not easy. I was admitted easily because of my qualification. Otherwise, I would have been still applying for visas and visas and visas. But fortunately, when I applied, they gave me indefinite leave to remain. And I naturalized.
Mr. Yarbo, you may continue. Can you still hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Continue.
Hello?
I can hear you. You may continue.
Yeah, then I naturalized as a British citizen. And that's how things are. In 2017, I came back to the Gambia after Ajame left. And I was going to ask for me to be reinstated. So I went to the managing director, Gamtel, who was my classmate. And he said he will write to the board to see whether I can be reinstated and I can also help them so that they will be able to pay my salary, my salary backlog. And also I help them to revive Gamtel again. Then I said, okay, that's fine, but I have to go back to the UK first. When I came back, he was himself suspended, I think. I'm not sure whether it was a suspension or a dismissal or whatever. And then I left the case with my nephew, who works at the GRA. He was trying to help me, but then it's not easy. Because these people, when I asked them to pay for my salaries, the 12 years salary, They were assuming that I was dismissed. And I told them, look, I was never dismissed. I was never terminated. The DPP took the law in his own hands and did whatever he liked. Therefore, I'm entitled to get my salary back.
So, Mr. Yarbo, the effect it had on your family was that you had to leave the jurisdiction and move you, your wife, and your children to the United Kingdom, and you have been living there to date.
Yeah. I think for those of you who have been outside, you will experience that. You will know that definitely as a foreigner, you are never fully accepted. That's a difficult thing to live with, because we all want to be part of a society where we live. But then in Europe, it's a totally different thing. You can never be fully accepted. And there are occasions when you come across derogatory remarks, and sometimes you don't have the right job. Even with your qualification, it's sometimes difficult to get a job.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbo, for that, and thank you for testifying today and taking time out of your very busy schedule. Thank you very much. Mr. Chair?
You're welcome for...
I am now going to hand you over to the chair of the commission. Mr. Chair,
thank you.
The witness is for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, Mr. Yarbo, for your testimony before the Commission this morning. And we are really grateful. Sorry that we probably got up very early to prepare for this testimony and taking a bit of your time. But again, thank you so much, and sorry that you had to endure so much in the hands of the NIA here, and the difficulties that exiles really encounter away from their home and the culture. Sorry about all that. Commissioners, if you have any questions to ask, please indicate. Yeah, Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor, please.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Yarbo.
Alaikum salam, Mr. Kinte.
You said when you came to the Gambia to see whether you can resume in your position, or there were arrangements that you can resume your job, but you left it with your nephew, you said, to take care in GRA?
Yes. He was doing as much as he could, definitely.
What has been the latest development in that?
Yeah, recently what they did was they said they would reinstate me and then retire me and pay me all my benefits. And but then the reinstatement will not attract any salaries, because what they assumed was that I was dismissed. So that's the bone of contention between me and them, because I was not dismissed. I was not terminated, and I was not retired prematurely. They could have dismissed me and say, look, because that's what they did to Lalo Jaita and Omar Dabo. The army dismissed them, tell them that you cannot do any more work with the army. They wrote to them, paid them their benefits and everything, and left. Now, for me, in fact, I'm the only one who was a civilian working. They never did that to me. The DPP said, we're going to appeal against the decision. They didn't appeal. And I was not going to stay in the country when I have a family to feed and take care of them. I had to leave the country. But they never wrote any letter, whether from the Gamtel board or from the government, to say that they have been dismissed or terminated or retired. Until recently, And they don't want to. They are saying that my reinstatement will not attract any salaries. But I wanted them to understand that I was not dismissed, and I went to court, won the case. I was supposed to be reinstated.
Have you expressed this view adequately, and did the authorities at Gamtel concur with the fact that you have not been terminated or dismissed? And in that case, whether or not they are able to pay the substantial amount, but the truth established. And in that case, if some arrangements could be made and you come back to serve the country, are you willing?
Oh, yeah. I've never worked anywhere. Since I left high school, I was with telecoms. I've spent just a few months with veterinary, but then since then I've been working with Gamtel till 2004, up till 2004, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, Mr. Yarbo, if you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to do so now.
Well, Dr. Caesar, I'll start with saying that Omar, your brother, was a good friend of mine at Hermitage. Omar Cisse, I think he's your younger brother, I think.
Yes, indeed, he's my younger brother. What kunda were you in?
Yeah, he used to tell me
in Hermitage. What kunda were you in?
I was in Hamlin.
Bad one.
And I was an alcalo of Hamlin at one time.
Thank you. Yes, you may proceed, please, if you have any concluding remarks to make.
Yeah, I think all I'm going to say is that, see, when dictatorship comes, the only way to fight it is to join together, join hands. Whether the weapon is your vote or whatever other means is available, we need to fight dictatorship. We should not allow it in our country, because dictatorship is a legacy that will strip you off of your freedom. And nothing is more important than freedom anywhere you are. Without freedom, there will be no development. Because when monologue triumphs over dialogue, alternatives are suppressed, options are not available, because people are scared of talking. And then one brain cannot run a country. We need many brains and select from them. And that's very important to know. I also want to express how happy I was when Council Fall was able to tell the military that they were not police of the government. They were there to protect the Gambia. Because Sana Sabali clearly indicated that he had a flawed understanding of the Constitution. They thought they could get up any time with guns and say, hey, get up. That's not the case. But Council Fall was able to make him understand that. And that also tells me that we need to teach our people so that they know their bounds and they know where they should try to involve themselves. Another thing also which is of importance to me is this tribal misunderstanding. I happen to be a hybrid. My mother is Wolof, my father is Mandingo. So for me, I speak Wolof fluently. In fact, better than some people who call themselves Wolofs, because my mother is a Fana. And also speak Mandinka as fluently as any other Mandinka, because my father originally is from Kiang. Okay. So it's therefore important for us to realize that tribe is not very important. Because if you look at Europe, they are full of tribes. Because tribe is characterized by the language you speak. But then you have different languages in Europe: English, French, German or whatever, Polish, Italian, Spanish. But they are able to understand each other. Why can't the Mandinka and the Wolof can't see eye to eye? It's not good. I think the government or whatever, or even the UN should try to come up with a lingua franca in the Gambia, where people can speak one language and understand each other. Because we have it in Guinea-Bissau where they all speak Creole. You have the Mandingos there, the Manjagos, the Jolas and all whatnot, but they all speak in Creole. Even our neighbor, Senegal, they all speak Wolof. We should have the same thing here in the Gambia as well. At one time, I remember debating with some boys, and I told them, look, let's take Creole, let's take Aku. But then some of them didn't like that. And the reason why I chose Aku was because it's fluently spoken in the West African sub-region. And it is also affiliated to English and can be written down. So anybody who can speak English can also express himself in Aku. Because I remember the depot, when we had the paramilitaries, they used to speak in Aku. And they were all of different tribes. So I think that's very important. And also when there is dictatorship, we should try to be honest with them, tell them the truth. We should not fear. Fear is our enemy. We should tell them the truth. When these people told me to go and switch off Citizen FM, if I were scared, I would have done it. But I'm depriving the Gambia of the most important commodity, which is information. So information is very important. Well, that's all I have to say, Dr. Cisse, sir. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Yarbo, for those very wise and good suggestions on unity in our culture and in our society. Well, thank you again so much for coming to testify before the Commission this morning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, are we ready with the next witness after the break? If we are, we will take a short break and come back at 12:30. Is that the case? Please advise.
Yes, Mr. Chair. If we may take the first break, and we'll be ready for the next witness.
So it's 12:30 from resumption, all right?
Yes, sir.
Splendid. Thank you. We will take a 30-minute break until 12:30 and resume at that time sharp. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.